You see the car right behind me. Austin Cindric, you won the photo finish in Austin. Roll Tide, it's great to have you on the show. Just describe everything that went into your victory on Sunday.
Yeah, it's for us, it's a huge day because a win in the NASCAR Cup Series, locks you into the playoffs, and that's 17 weeks away, but it's what you work your whole season for. So, super excited about that. But it's more than just a win, the playoff spot. Those types of races, even Talladega specifically, we've come really close as a team and brought some really fast race cars, and it's rare that at that track you can put together a total team win, execution on all levels. And I feel like that's what we did on Sunday. Every man did their job and at an exceptional level. So it's really satisfying for me to be part of a team like that and obviously do my part to get it all done and have a really exciting finish.
It was a different race than some other Talladega races we've seen before. So many green flag laps towards the end, not as many cautions or big wrecks, anything like that. So, how did you and your team kind of manage your pit strategy, making sure you were good to go for the final laps?
Yeah, I mean, I think just being as efficient as possible, and that was definitely one of the keys for us there, being able to come on pit road, be able to go through that stop. I think we had the fastest stop there on that cycle and execute everything there. And from that point, I'm controlling the race. So as the leader of the race, you want it to be the most boring 15 laps run to the checkered ever. And honestly, it was difficult for guys to make it through the field, and that's exactly what you want. I mean, I feel like that's me doing my job in a lot of ways. So, for us, it's huge to be able to execute like that and be able to be rewarded for it.
Yeah, it really was a great victory for you. Again, a very tight finish with Ryan Preece right at the very end. Just if you could walk us through that final lap from your perspective, what were the key moments you felt like helped give you the victory?
Yeah, well, I think one, just Ryan getting clear, some of the Hendrick cars there, and for it to be kind of a Ford versus Ford finish, I feel like we've, like I said before, come close in a lot of ways. I feel like as Fords we have an advantage with our dark horse Ford Mustang going to this track, and it's great to be able to finally get it done. But it got to the point where I was pretty confident it was going to be one of the two of us, and it obviously was, and at that point, the laps are winding down, and you're kind of just taking receipts every time of where is the car on the outside of me, where's the 60 at the start finish line versus where I am, what push did I get to make that happen, and you're kind of trying to replicate the times that you've had success until you get to the white flag lap, and then it's okay. This race is going to be official. You have to be the leader. A wreck could happen at any time, so nothing is guaranteed, right? And I felt like it was going to be pretty 50-50 from what I had watched the laps before, and there were some lap cars that they were starting to catch as a pack, and I was starting to get nervous about it. But then I realized how big of an opportunity it was because I started to kind of get a draft off of them, and I felt like the bed was made there once we got to kind of alpha turn 4. So I felt really good about that. It was nice to not have any question whatsoever of who won the race there, and I was super happy to be able to celebrate with my team.
Yeah, great celebration for you and the team. Just how rewarding was it to get to share that with your teammates, and then also just everything that comes with winning at Talladega.
Yeah, I mean Talladega it's one of those racetracks that you don't necessarily have to be a NASCAR fan to have heard of before. So it's cool to be able to win big events. Going to Talladega is a big event. It's an event. We go there twice a year, and it's hard to do something twice a year that's as special as what goes on at Talladega. And what goes on at Talladega is a lot more than the race. The atmosphere, the fan, the crowds. It's all very unique to any other thing that I've ever seen in sports. So I think it's fun to be able to experience that, fun to be able to experience that atmosphere. Obviously as the main event, but to be able to go out and win that thing and be able to do it with all my guys and the celebration, it's yeah, doesn't get much better.
It really was exciting too to see the larger. You get the trophy, of course, but then the wreath that you wore to the press conference afterwards. You said your goal was to get that on the plane. Did you make it happen after the race was over? After you left the track?
Yeah, I did keep that thing on for hours, and I did make the executive decision that it was safer to be transported back to here Charlotte, North Carolina, over the road instead of on the plane. So it was cool. I really do love traditions like that because it is very old school, the wreath, the flowers, and all that. And it's one of the cool things that really sets that place apart.
You mentioned getting the win and having that certainty about the playoffs is important, but how will you guys use this in the next few weeks? So with some really important races coming up, how will you use this momentum?
Yeah, well, I think right out the windshield here, we've got a lot of mile and a half race tracks that we're probably not going to get to see again until later in the season. So I think this is going to be a good audit for us on where we stack up. I felt like Vegas and Homestead tracks, in a similar size and speed to where we'll be going pretty much throughout the month of May. We had pretty good events there, actually really good events. If you include Vegas there, so I wouldn't say my expectations are high, but being able to apply what we've learned to some of these other maybe more unique racetracks with Texas and Charlotte coming up being two, maybe you deal with more ride quality, more issues, and maybe Kansas, it's quite a bit smoother. So just looking forward to seeing what we can apply and learn. And obviously the goal is to go out and win more races. That helps our chances in the playoffs, gets us more playoff points, and that's the goal every week.
You gained a lot of fans on Sunday in Talladega for your performance, but specifically from some guys we know, members of the Alabama football team. Just first of all, before even the race began, you had a great opportunity to take a few football players out, guys like Ryan Williams, Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., and Jalen Mbakwe. What was it like getting to interact with them and get to drive them around the track a few times?
Yeah, definitely a very cool experience for those guys. We got a Ford Mustang lined up early race day morning before half the infield had probably woken up, and those guys woke up early, came out to the track, and was able to kind of take them for a ride around the racetrack. Obviously, not going 200 mile an hour like my race car does, but I got it up a little bit faster than they told me I could go. But just give them perspective, because a lot of first time NASCAR fans, or somebody who maybe hasn't seen a race before, maybe doesn't get a perspective of the size of the racetracks or the speed, or even the banking. You talk about Talladega, and it's our biggest racetrack. It has some of the most banking that we go to. So even I kind of did the same thing for each as I got in the car, because I feel like I have to give them that perspective before they watch the race. Keep it simple. Like, this is the racetrack. Like, this is the flat road, and the car goes straight. This is 10 degrees of banking, and the car already wants to kind of fall down the hill and go left. And then you go up to 30 degrees, and the car is just completely tanking back to the left down the racetrack. And then you get up to about 130 mile an hour and go into the corner, and then all of a sudden they feel the G forces. And then I explained to them, as I'm driving with my knee at these speeds, like I'm not even gonna be looking at the windshield. I'm gonna be looking in my mirror, looking here. I'm gonna be going high, going low. Like, those are the things that it's hard to get perspective until you go do. And then I think once you see that, or see a race in person, then you're like, oh well, then you go do that with 40 other cars on the racetrack. It's super intense. No different than throwing a football in my backyard is a lot different than a bunch of 200, 300 pound strong grown men running at you. Like, I'm sure it's way different than just tossing a ball. So it's a lot of fun to share what I get to do with those guys. I love football. I don't follow college football massively, so it's not like I have a team. So I didn't have any bias as far as do I like those guys or not. I know it's very divided in the state of Alabama as far as who's rooting for who, but no, it's definitely cool to get them involved, and get their genuine reactions on what I love to get to do.
Yeah, I mentioned you, of course, got to interact with these Alabama football players. They also got to meet a guy like a Georgia fan and Chase Elliott, and they're trying to convert him to come to the Crimson Tide side of things. Are you maybe a convert now to the Crimson Tide after interacting with these guys?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a personal relationship with people, right? That if I'm going to be watching a game and it's Auburn, Alabama, I have no reason not to root for Alabama. Like, come on, like I know these guys, and they come and hang out with me, so it's easy. So as far as that decision goes, that one's already been made. So it'll be cool to, and just like our sport is, like, once you have a personal connection with somebody, you find that favorite. That's what makes sports so good. Like, I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan, through and through. And I get to meet a Colts player. It's like, okay, that just solidifies me being a Colts fan. If you don't have a favorite guy or a favorite team, sports aren't as fun to watch. And I think that's a perfect example of, I'm be cheering you boys on for the upcoming season.
Yeah, not just those guys you got to talk to, but also some other members of the football team. Just a fun meet and greet, especially like you talked about, those athletes know what it takes to compete at a high level in football. Did you love not only just around you, but also your entire pit crew? Bray Hubbard sat in the pit box most of the race. How cool is it for them to get to meet other members of your team?
Yeah, and I think that's what's very hard to appreciate about our sport is that you can watch a football game and look at the field and go, "Yep, these guys all have to work together towards a common goal to be successful." Whereas it's my name on the car, they call my name out when I win the race, but in reality, I just get to finish everybody else's hard work. I still have to do that. I still have to do my part. But like, the pit crew, the pit stops, the communication, even back here in Mooresville at the shop in North Carolina, I mean, we've got 300 people building these cars every week. So uh, I'm sure they got a perspective of like, okay, this isn't just a dude in the car. Like, this is a whole crew of people that have to be really on the same page to make this all work. So I'm always very envious of especially football teams, because I feel like you can kind of extract a lot out of each other because you work side by side. Whereas, I'm kind of alone out there and we do a lot of prep work together, and we don't get to share that experience in real time. So another one of those things that you really can't get a sense of until you go to a NASCAR race.
Well, here in Alabama, we like winners. Great winning tradition for the University of Alabama. Do you feel like that helped you pick up this victory after you met with those guys? And then Ryan Williams told you he wears number 2 for the Crimson Tide. He was rooting for number 2, you, as a result. Do you feel like that helped in the race?
I don't see why they shouldn't come to the next one. That's for sure. I'm not a big superstitious guy, but keep it coming until it doesn't work.
Well, Austin Cindric, congratulations on the victory at Talladega. Thank you for interacting with the Crimson Tide football players like you did, and we're going to be rooting you on the rest of the season. Best of luck with what's ahead. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.